Ethan and Jason.
Now this is podcasting.
Hello, forgot to check.
Levels, how we doing?
Looks
Can we hear
good.
The birds in the background. This will be nice.
The birds are chirping. So, guys, funny story. I forgot to pay my power bill. So we don't have any electricity right now. And we probably won't for the next 45 minutes. So we have to keep the doors open. So if you guys hear any
nature sounds,
it's from nature. And
if you hear water running, that's natural. It's not us peeing while we're trying to record.
Yeah. I didn't edit in the bird sounds. Those are real. But if you also can't hear them, then don't worry about it.
That's the kind of quality you get from work hard.
Highly professional broadcasting over here at Hyper Premium.
Yes, sir.
Which, fun
Nothing but
announcement.
the best.
We've already teased this and announced it, I guess, several times, but it's happening as of this week.
Next week.
Next week, I guess. Yeah, next week. Jason is taking over the operations of Hyper Premium as my co-founder. I have found the Duramax Cummins engine to my what do they put Cummins in? Everything other than Fords?
Cummins? It's
right?
primarily Dodge, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But they put all kinds of they put Cummins in whatever. You guys get what I'm trying to say. I've got a cool, nice, sleek looking truck that's like badass and like girls like it. But I didn't have a good engine for it. Now it's got a good engine. That's the analogy I'm trying to make.
I'm the Cummins. Mm-hmm. Cool. I like that analogy.
Good.
I was just thinking the other day how I'm not the cool part of this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right, dude.
That's all right.
I'm not the work and work hard.
I'm coming to the realization of my place in life. Which brings me to it reminded me of something I heard some time ago, where there are three perceptions of each individual.
Okay.
There's how you perceive yourself.
Okay.
There's how others perceive you, and there's how you really are.
Yes.
And they're very divergent at first, the younger you are, typically.
Yeah.
And as you get older, those three actually typically come closer together.
Yeah.
You realize more accurately who you are.
Yeah.
Other people perceive you more as you are, as you become, as less facades. As the facades drop off because you become more comfortable with yourself, you will be perceived more as your real self.
Yeah.
And so hopefully by the end of your life, you'll be relatively, those three will be conjoined pretty closely.
Yeah. Yeah.
There won't be a bunch of secrets like, oh, there's secret Jason nobody knows about. Everyone thinks he's this way, but in secret, he's this other way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was I've thought about that off and on over the years.
That is very, I like that. That's a good little, it's rare that you get little ways to package reality like that.
Yeah.
It is rare, but when they come by, you got to hold on to them. So
Yeah.
put that in your pocket, guys.
That's for you.
Yeah, that's for you guys. Yeah, when I was at the very first wave of my like reformation as a Christian and like going from being an alcoholic loser to like a productive member of society, the first like iteration of that for me, I was listening to a ton of Jordan Peterson, like all of his old stuff. And in one of his lectures that he gave, he talked about how he was talking about the big 5 personality traits. And he was saying, if you are high in trait openness, you're very like creative, you're a people person, you're like interested in like ideas and stuff like that. If you're really high in trait openness, the higher you are in that, the lower
Trait openness?
Yeah.
Okay.
The openness trait, the higher you are in that, the lower you're likely to be in industry.
Okay.
So you're going to be lazy, basically.
Right.
And,
Well, I mean, that makes sense. The creatives are usually perceived as they create fantastic works of art, but they struggle with
actually creating them.
Possibly. Or that their lives fall apart around that
Yeah.
creativity, that's what consumes them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They stay up late.
Yes.
They when an inspiration hits them, all else goes to the wayside.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he was saying that if you are high in openness, he was like, you better go find yourself someone who's high in industry, or you are going to be miserable, because you're going to have all these ideas and you're going to be completely incapable of making them a reality.
Right. Well, I made this illustration between us and Rhett and Link, which you hated at first.
Yeah, just because I don't like Rhett and Link.
No,
the
that's
essence
fine.
of the illustration is
Rhett and
good.
Link, for anyone who don't know, are the Good Mythical Morning guys on YouTube. Huge YouTube channel.
Yeah.
They started off pretty simple. I think they were both engineers before, like in their 30s or 40s. They started doing this YouTube morning show, which was quirky and fun.
Yeah.
And they would do random games and whatever. It was entertaining to watch, and they were best buds from like kids.
Yeah.
So they'd been together forever. And Rhett was he was the idea guy, and he had all these fantastical ideas. Yeah. And Link was the more down-to-earth guy who would talk through those and make them a reality.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does.
That's why Ethan and I work.
Yeah, it's also why my house is always a wreck and everything is always broken. And, yeah. What was I going to say? I was going to say something, but I guess it's gone now. Anyways, yeah, this is the Jordan Peterson thing.
The openness trait.
Yeah, the openness trait, yeah. So that's also for you guys out there that are creatives, or creatively minded, and you want to start your own thing. You
might need a partnership.
Yeah, you're going to need a partnership. You're going to need somebody to help. And you got to have, that was a big problem for me, was having the humility to admit that.
It only took 17 episodes of work hard for you to get there, though.
Well, it took when did I ask you to do this with me originally? A year ago?
A little over a year ago. It was in the fall.
28, so it took 6 years of...
Is that how long you took to get 17 episodes?
No, that's how long it took me. That's how long it took me to admit that I needed somebody to help me.
Gotcha.
Get this thing off the ground.
I see.
Yeah. So wasted a bunch of time having too much pride. So just skip that step for yourselves. If you're, I was 21, 22 when I came across that piece of information. So just do yourself a favor, skip that part where you spend the next 6 years. Now that you've heard that, you spend the next 6 years going, no, I can do this by myself. You can't. Go find somebody who's a more diligent person than you are and ask them for their help. It'll also be way more fun.
Yeah.
It's way more fun to have your boy with you.
Yeah.
This has been way more fun now that we're working together.
Yeah, I love these recording sessions.
Yes, yeah.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, man, me too. Okay, so moving along. You want to do Between the Couch Cushions?
Between the Couch Cushions,
right.
That section of the show where we talk about the things that have maybe gone by the wayside. You forgot about them, and you're digging through the couch cushions, and you find them and say, oh, yeah, this was good, and I don't know why I ever forgot about this.
Yeah.
Or maybe you didn't know it was there at all.
Yeah, maybe you didn't know it was there at all because you're younger.
The last tenant left it.
Yeah, we have to remember that there are teenagers listening to this now. So
yeah.
Which, I don't know, maybe we should alert a couple parents at church that their sons are listening to this, and maybe it's not a great idea.
Maybe so, but they should also be talking with their parents.
Yeah, yeah.
If you are a young person listening to this, you should have your parents listen to it, and if they say, no, I don't want you to listen to this, you should listen to their direction.
Yeah, yeah.
We are not your parents.
We are not, yeah. So...
We hope we are adding something of value, and if your parents can talk to us, I hope that they will, if they have a big issue with things that we're saying.
Yeah.
And a lot of this is not, I don't think that we're taking terribly, we are taking very hard stances on some things and calling out stuff as we see it.
Yeah.
Lots of parents might not agree. Lots of parents might be convicted about the things we're saying because they recognize that there is some truth to them.
Yeah.
And I hope that's more the case, but obviously we are human and we're fallible, and we don't have as much experience as a lot of your parents do. So they have insights that we do not. So we are one more voice in the cultural conversation as we move forward in the 21st century in Christian living.
Yeah.
We're hoping to add something of value, but it's not to be your sole source.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to throw in Breakpoint is a fantastic podcast that talks about Christian culture.
I think I've heard. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Is that with...
by the Colson Center.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Chuck Colson founded it, and I'm blanking on the name of the let's see, Maria Bear is the co-host, and the host is, I can't remember his name, but I was just listening to some of their like 5-6 minute short segments, but they usually do an hour long segment.
Nice.
But Breakpoint, you can find them on Spotify, at least. That's where I listen to them.
Sick.
But good podcast.
Good
A
podcast.
lot of great cultural commentary from a Christian worldview.
Good. Very good. Okay, so
So our recommendations for Between the Couch Cushions, we have a special retro video game Star Wars edition.
Yes.
The triple threat of retro Star Wars games. 3
Yes.
different genres of Star Wars games. So, Ethan, why don't you take it away with your recommendation?
mine is the Rogue series, Rogue Squadron and Rogue Leader, I think is the next game. But they're like arcade shooters, so you're like in an X-wing flying around, like trying to do these missions. It's like very good. I played it on the N64 and on the GameCube. You could probably, I haven't looked this up, but I bet they've made like mobile game versions of them.
I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, and you could definitely pretty easily, if you even have like a laptop, you can go online and get an emulator. And there's a ton of like really good emulators out there. And then
Download it off Steam. I'm sure it's on Steam.
it might not be on Steam.
It may not be?
It might not
Okay.
be. You can look it up, but even if it's not, you can go get an emulator and go download a ROM. Like
Okay.
that's a super easy. You can spend 5 minutes on YouTube learning how to do that. It's really cool, and it'll only take you a couple hours to play through each one. It's definitely, if you're trying to kick it on a Saturday afternoon or something, dude, crack you a couple cold ones. Fire up the Rogue Squadron games. They are so much fun. So sick. So that's my rec.
All right, next up is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which was an RPG character building. You play as not a Jedi, but a Force user, basically.
Yeah.
And you can go through the decisions that you make throughout the storyline. They are each play into your attribute of dark or light use.
Right.
And so your character, do they change appearance
Yes.
with your look?
Yeah, but only if you go dark side. If you go more light side, then I think
They
you
stay
just-
pretty
you just
sime.
stay the same.
Okay, but you start getting like dark circles under your eyes
Yeah, you
and
get like
whatnot.
dark circles, and all all the like veins. in
veins
your
start
head
popping
come
out of your head.
Yeah, and your skin gets all like gray.
Yeah. So if you decide to like always like assassinate people who are the problem in your missions, then you start getting dark
Yeah.
points, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you get to build your lightsaber. You also build out like a crew that you fight with. There's like an assassin droid who's really mouthy and kind of hates human beings.
Yeah.
He always calls you meatbag and then corrects himself and says master at the last second, but
Yeah.
it's clear what his thoughts are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really fun game. I don't know, was that in the early 2000s that came out?
Yeah, something like that.
It seems about that. It wasn't quite the 90s.
It was already, when I started playing video games, it was already out.
Yeah.
The second one, at least, was already out. So
Yeah, that was a PC game.
Yeah.
I believe.
I played it on an Xbox.
Did you? Okay.
The first time I played it on Xbox. I just played it the other day.
Did you? Okay.
I played the second one the other day, and that you can get on Steam. That
Okay.
is on Steam. Both of them are on Steam. But the first one I know for a fact is on the Apple, is on the iTunes store. So
Okay.
you can play it on your phone.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah.
Last one is a Star Wars Republic Commando, which was, I think, as far as I'm aware, pretty revolutionary in its like AI.
Yeah.
For you play as the leader of a squad of elite Republic commandos, which were like clone troopers who were specialized. And so you have 3 guys under you. One is like a medic, and one is like a demolitions guy, and the other guy's like regular gunner or point man or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're the commander. And so they had cool, for instance, if you were going to like force a door, you would take position. Your guys would all automatically take position around the door and set up, and the demolitions guy would like fix charges to the door and then step back. They'd blow the door. One of your guys would throw a grenade around the side of the door, and then as soon as it exploded, they would all automatically go in the room and start taking down bad guys. It was incredible fun.
Yeah.
And your guys, the AI was much better than like your Halo, the Marines in Halo, which were borderline useless. They could barely take down a grunt.
Yeah.
Without getting just demolished. But the Republic Commandos, and you could heal your guys too. So your one guy would go down, and you could heal them, kind of like Call of Duty and whatnot. There were stim packs and things like that.
Yeah.
So super fun game.
Yes.
You get to play on like the Wookiee homeworld and other places like that. I don't remember what the objective was that you were overall, but
I don't either.
you had missions that you ran.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Whatever.
Yeah,
it doesn't
just,
matter.
It was just an excuse to do the clearing the room stuff.
The clearing the room things was pretty cool.
That was so sick.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that did not get old very
Yeah.
quickly. I guess honorable mention to Battlefront 2.
Oh yeah, of course.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yes.
Honorable mention. Yeah, which where you played a specialized character
Yeah, you get
in
to
a
pick.
battle between. It was like a full scale battle.
Right.
So there was a lot more going on, and you'd run around the map as your like Jedi guy or your hero. So you'd play Han Solo, Princess Leia, Darth Vader, Luke.
You would unlock them. So you'd play like
Oh, okay.
you would pick.
That's right. You would
a
have to pick
class.
you'd play as a battle droid at first, but then you
Right.
would level up and be able
Right.
to unlock better and better specialized characters like Force users.
Right.
So
right.
anyway,
Goated, one of the greatest games of all time.
so
Battlefront 2.
quadruple threat, I guess.
Yeah.
Just change this at the last minute.
So there you go. Video games today, not movies. Although Abigail did see, we'll give another honorable mention. Quintuple threat.
Yeah, I think
my,
that's right.
My neighbor Totoro. It's another Miyazaki film.
Did you not already say this one?
No, I said Castle in the Sky.
Oh, okay.
We just watched.
Maybe we've talked about this previously. It wasn't a Cushion's recommendation, but
Yeah. The one that I would say that it is a little pagan because it's like leans very heavily into the like ancient Japanese religions about like spirits and woods and stuff. But to me, it presented a great opportunity to describe to Abigail that there are people who don't understand how the world was created and how it works. And so they've come up with weird ways to explain it.
that is important, I think, when you're raising your kids to inoculate them a bit so they're
Yeah.
not blindsided when they get older and some other kid's like, well, there's no God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like they're ready. They know.
They know that there are actually more people who don't believe in the true God,
Right.
and they have some other.
Yeah. But Abigail.
I only
loved-
believe in science.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, jeez. Abigail loved that movie. Like up on her feet the whole time. It's Totoro. He's yelling like the whole time. Whole time. It's about these two little girls, and you can tell it's like Miyazaki is like reading Lewis in that you can tell that he just loves life.
Yeah.
And like there's only one way you could write like that, and it's if you love life. And he just like is in love with life. And he must have a ton of daughters or must have like grown up with sisters that he like just held very dear, because all the movies I've seen for him so far are these like love letters to the beauty and like wonder of little girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like how amazing they
That's
are.
sweet.
It's really really good.
You talk about an open trait, though. I've heard this from listening to Stories Are Soul Food.
Yeah.
Andy Wilson is a huge fan of Miyazaki.
Yeah.
They bring him up constantly.
Yeah.
And they've even talked about some of his films at length. Like The Boy and the Heron, they did a whole show just
Yeah.
on The Boy and the Heron, which was his most recent film,
Yep.
which I haven't seen. I haven't actually seen any of the Miyazaki films. I intend to, but I
They're really good.
haven't yet.
Really good.
Just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
Well, but I guess he was almost kind of like a Michael Jordan, just so good at what he did,
Yeah.
and obsessive about it that he would drive other creators away or like use them up because he was just so bent on creating what he was going to create. So you talk about your creativity consuming you and those around you. He would like almost like sap those around him,
Yeah, just
you know?
drain the energy out of them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Take
Yeah.
them for all they were worth kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you need to be careful about that with the creatives in your life.
Yes, for sure. You got to look out for the people that God has put in your charge. Yeah, so those are our recs, dude. A lot of recs this week, but hey, there is actually still a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah, go back to the old stuff if there's not new good stuff coming out.
Yeah, and if Jason and I have anything to say about it, there'll be a lot of new good stuff coming down the pipe pretty soon.
and we might start pressuring you about support.
Yeah, we might start asking for money. Yeah, so you want to...
Nothing's free. Sorry.
Nothing is... Yeah, sorry.
Except the whole
free.
last year of work hard. That's free.
yeah, that's been free.
No,
yeah.
that's... I mean, I don't want to paint it like we're done doing anything for free.
Right.
But if this is to continue forward and grow, it does have to have support. We can't quit our jobs with no support. So prayerfully consider, if you like the content, prayerfully consider for when we get that set up.
Yeah.
Because either subscriptions or donations, something is going to be set up in this coming year, in the coming months. So we haven't decided on the...
It will lead ultimately to like feature-length films and lots of written material, more podcasts. Hyper Premium is going to really ratchet up. We intend for this to be a juggernaut of good quality family entertainment. In the future. So, and there will be aspects of it that will not be family entertainment. That'll definitely just be for the boys, but like this. But anyways,
except for the ladies listening.
Hello,
ladies.
Hello to my wife. Should we jump in?
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The main topic!
Guys, listen to me. We gotta dig into it. All right, this is so
strap on your big boy pants. This might get a little rough.
Yeah, this might get a little rough.
Turbulence ahead.
Yeah.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Yeah. Before I say anything, I'll say this. You should know about me going into this that I am, by the modern standard that you would hear, a racist. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. That's for sure the reality. I think that there are very large differences between the ethnic groups, and that those are not, that those are pretty hard line.
So how would you define, maybe it'd be helpful for you to define what you believe the mainstream cultural, so what is this metric that you are saying you are racist by?
Yeah, I think that it's
you were saying that other people would define you as a racist.
Right. Other people would definitely define me as a racist because I am totally okay with saying that there are on a group level, that there are differences between the nations and the ethnicities, and that they are different and bad at different, or that they are good and bad at different things. So
super racist.
Yeah, super racist.
No, and I guess for the record, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would just say, so I mean, sure, maybe, undoubtedly there'd be far left people, not even far left people, but there'd be people who take that and paste something else onto it, things that I don't mean and things that Ethan doesn't mean, twist his words, basically.
Yeah.
And say, well, he also, because he said this, he also must mean this. He also must fundamentally not like whatever ethnic group because he has a criticism or just a difference of opinion as to how we should order our lives, what's important. Anyway, that's how I would paste it for myself, I suppose. Is that accurate for you, or do you go further?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would go a little bit further. I think that there are, I think the ethnic groups that have been exposed to Christianity the longest have cultures that are redeemable, while ethnic groups that have not been exposed to Christianity for an extended period of time, have cultures that need to be largely done away with.
And by done away with, you do not mean annihilated.
No, I don't mean they need to be like invaded
put
and
them
destroyed.
In the showers.
Right, yeah. I mean they need to be...
The culture needs to be...
Their nation needs to repent,
right.
And they need to have whatever their culture transforms into, like a human being, once they're saved, they're not going to be the same after 10 years of being a Christian. They're going to be radically different.
Right.
I certainly am. After just 8 years of being a Christian, I'm radically different. So if you...
People would not recognize Ethan, who knew him 9 years ago.
No.
This is not the guy we partied with.
Yeah, it is. I'm not at all. And that happened.
So we're talking... Yeah, so Ethan's talking about a cultural level. If
right.
you would expose... If India became Christian for 20 years,
Yeah.
there would be humongous differences.
Well, 100, 200 years, something like that.
Sure.
But even then, if
20 years,
if there was a mass conversion in India, then yes,
and for 20 years
see
down
some
there, you'd
pretty
see
immediate
differences.
changes. Yeah. But you'd need like hundreds of years, because you need the people that lived the old way to die.
Right.
And the
people
people
who
that-
hold on to it and will not change.
Right.
That needs to slowly be weeded out. There's laws and cultural customs and everything that span generations that the old generations need to die off before that fully, before it's fully gone.
Right, exactly.
And even in the United States, we have gone away from God in a lot of ways. We need rejuvenation here. So I'm not even saying that, we've been exposed for a very long time. From the beginning of our country, we've been exposed and heavily Christian.
Right.
And we have been walking away over the last few decades, at least.
Yeah.
If not longer.
Yeah.
Probably the last 60 plus years.
Yeah. And so we're seeing the chaos, the malfeasance of white sin be reintroduced to the culture. And white sin is neurotic and self-destructive. And, anyways, that's it. I'm not going to go hard on whites right now, because that's not the move to make at this point in history. So what are we talking about? What's the actual topic we're talking about? Given that caveat.
So with those caveats, yes.
Yes. The topic we are going to discuss today. So I don't know how many of you listeners are internet people. I would assume some of you, because I'm an internet person, and at least some of you are listeners that have found us from my Twitter account. That means that some of you know what's going on, but for those of you that do not, we'll explain it. So on, I actually don't even know what kicked this whole thing off, but there was a tweet from the former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy that really, really, really kicked this whole thing up. And the tweet, which I sent to Jason, and
I can pull it up. I'll find it quickly in the text thread.
The tweet is, I can summarize it in saying that he, for whatever reason, I don't know why he thought this would be a good idea. I know he believes it, which is, in and of itself, it's its own problem. But why he thought it would be a good idea to say this out loud, which is that for the most part, when it comes to elite jobs, the reason why there's all this...
I've got it here. Do you want me to read it?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. Here, Vivek Ramaswamy. Quote, the reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over, quote, Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, which is, he says, in parentheses, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers, and if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zack and Slater over Screech in Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Fact. I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actively limited how much their kids could watch those TV shows precisely because they promoted mediocrity, and their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chillin', more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kinds of parents. More normal American kids view those kinds of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy, normalcy is what you will achieve. Now close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s, or even now, who raised their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. This can be our Sputnik moment. We've awoken, we've awoken from slumber before, and we can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up. A culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. I think he's been listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
Work hard. Yeah. Hard work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Vivek's hey Vivek, how you doing?
Yeah, friend of the show.
Shout out to Vivek. Going on. That's the work we have cut out for us, rather than wallowing in victimhood and just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence. I'm confident we can do it. American flag emoji.
All right, so listen, Vivek wants to be brutally honest. Let's be brutally honest, okay? That is the most retarded thing I've ever heard. It's maybe one of the most ill-thought. I don't even understand. I mean, I do understand how you can come to that conclusion because he's Indian. So he's going to come up with an explanation for all this stuff that favors immigrants and Indians. He's an immigrant. He's an Indian. First of all, Vivek Ramaswamy has had a procedure done to make his skin lighter.
Has he really?
Yes. To look more white.
Yeah.
He dresses in.
Now, just for my own knowledge, I don't know. Is he an immigrant then? Like
yeah. I think he might be a second generation immigrant, but he is a Hindu.
Okay.
He's a religious Hindu. So he's
losing points there.
Yeah. So he's had a procedure done to make his skin more white. He wears suits and clothes that are done in a Western white man's style. He gained his fortune running companies that use Western medical practices, Western medical companies. He didn't build these companies. In fact, there's a pretty good argument to make that he actually came in, forged some. He ran a large scam to make his fortune. There's an argument to be made. I don't know if that's true. I'm not going to say it, but I will say that that's been put out there. And the terms at which, if you look at it on its surface level, it does look like that's what he did. He bought a company with a failing drug that couldn't get past these trials, and then he bought the thing, and then his mother's company, his mom, came in and did the new trials, and it passed.
Oh, okay.
And then the stock price shot up, and then he sold all the stock, and then the next wave of trials done by a third party, it failed, and the company went bankrupt.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good. So it looks like Vivek ran a giant Indian scam to make a bunch of money. So start up with that. There's a brutal truth for you. There's a hard truth. We're being brutally honest here. Vivek requested it, so we're doing it. Next is...
I think he might unsubscribe after this.
Maybe.
It's all right. We'll be all right.
We'll be all right. We'll survive without the Vivek money. The next thing is so there are a couple major points that I want to make here. All right. Not only is Vivek using a white man's tool to post on the white man's internet while wearing white man's clothes, doing oil treatments or whatever to his skin to make him look more like a white man. But he is making a very serious a bad assumption that I have not seen anybody correct. Okay. There have been a ton of people on the right who are way smarter than I am, who have commented on this, and people who are way more right-wing than I am, people who are actually for real racist, which, whatever. I don't care about that. But people have made really, I have not seen anybody make this argument. Okay. And here it is. There's this idea that Elon and Vivek, so Elon Musk is also a big part of this, because Elon Musk came in and had Vivek's side and was like, I'm an immigrant. We need the top 0.1% of the population. We need those people because there's such a need for elite talent, whatever. So here's the thing that Elon and Vivek have it wrong. And this is the thing that nerds always get wrong. All right. Not dorks, nerds. This is the thing that nerds always get wrong, which is they think that life is about meritocracy. It is not. Success is not based on how hard you work or how good you are at your job. It isn't. I'm sorry. Here's the reality, and this is why having jocks run everything and not nerds is better. This is why having kids who go to a lot of sleepovers and have a lot of friends and interact socially, why it's more important. Because what actually judges a human being's success is their ability to collaborate. End of discussion. People think that the most important character trait of a worker is his productivity and creativity. That is not the case. The single trait that matters the most with a worker is his ability to collaborate. That is what matters most. The Lord created us as herd animals. Well, not as animals, but as herd beings.
Creatures. We are creatures.
We are creatures. We are pack creatures. We are designed to collaborate and work together. We are all little images of, we all are little fractures of a personality that is infinite. God is represented in each one of us. We are a reflection of God in each one of us. Our personalities are a little tiny reflection of a tiny aspect of God's nature. To make the whole cohesive image, we have to work together. Okay? We are at our most fundamental, we are we are collaborative creatures. So your ability to collaborate, your likability is what matters most in life. Okay? I'm sorry. If you don't like that, get on a rocket ship, go to another planet. Because that's how all of humans are. And you can't fight it. All right? That's the reality of the situation. So here's the problem. Here's the fundamental issue with importing even the most elite workers. An Indian man will not be able to collaborate with Americans as well as other Americans will be able to collaborate with other Americans. And it's as simple as, like, a practical example I can give you is that Indians often have very thick accents, even after they've been here for years. And I'm on calls. I'm in the tech world, so I'm with Indians all the time. Constantly. Me, other people on the call, all are having to ask Indian guys to repeat themselves. All the time. It makes communication cumbersome.
Language barriers.
Language barriers exist.
It goes all the way back to the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
You know how God broke up collaboration when it was going badly?
Yeah.
It's changing everybody's language.
Right. And
it worked real well.
Yeah, and to a certain, so that means to a
the
certain
project
extent,
was abandoned.
Yeah, that means to a certain extent, some guy that speaks French is not supposed to be collaborating with a guy who speaks English, to a certain extent. So that's the big.
Well, that's why English, not because English is inherently better than other languages, but there just has to be one for globalism to work.
Yeah.
There has to be a business language.
Yeah.
There has to be an international language that everyone communicates in. Right.
Which is English for a reason. And so you can import, the smartest Indian man. You can bring the smartest Indian man in and plug him in at Google. He is not going to be as effective as two of average intelligent white guys, because Google is an American company, and it runs in America, and you have to communicate in American ways to Americans. And so collaboration is the most important thing. And you will gum up that engine by bringing in too many foreigners in any situation. Just if
you could turn this around.
Yeah, turn it around.
If you turn it around, if you have an Indian corporation, you cannot go and plug in an American.
Yeah.
They're going to have no idea.
You can plug in one or two. Like in Japan, they have like one or two, like big companies every once in a while will have like one white guy smiling on the board in a sea of squinty faces. You'll have just one Irish looking guy standing there with a big smile on his
one
face.
tall redhead sticking out.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, which is fine. That's fine.
And is that, well, are you saying that that's useful just for reaching other audiences?
Well,
and maybe communicate, this is our, like almost an ambassador kind of thing?
Yeah, maybe. There's going to be strengths and weaknesses, and just, he was standing there when they needed a role filled and they couldn't find any Japanese guys to do it, and so he was the one that was standing there. Like, that's fine. That's okay. But here's the problem with the H-1B program, the visa program, is that
You're talking about flooding the market with
yeah,
it.
I'm talking about flooding the market with foreigners. And the reason that they flood the market with foreigners is because foreigners will work for cheaper.
Yep.
Because they're coming from places where they don't make as much money, and so they'll work for cheaper. And the idea here, like Patrick Bet-David is another real big podcaster who took a real hard line on this and was bashing Americans and saying they're lazy. His thing was that we bring foreigners in because we can pay them less and they'll work 80 hours a week. Here's the thing. Nobody works 80 hours a week, especially not some Indian guy. Okay? I'm sorry. You don't go from pooping in the Ganges to typing on a keyboard for 16 hours a day, like in some high productive environment. That's not.
You could be clocked in for that. So to clarify, you can be clocked in for that long and be paid for that long.
Yeah.
You are not, the human being cannot be highly productive for that many hours a week.
Yeah, you just can't. You just can't. And you'll hear that from like, listen, I'm in a position full of people who love to claim that they put in 70 out. They're elite. We're the top, 1% of workers. We're the top. I'm in that job. I'm surrounded by those people.
Yeah.
I will be honest with you. I run my own company, and I have an executive position at one of the largest cybersecurity companies on the face of the planet. And between those two, I might clock in 50 hours. Maybe. On a heavy ass week. On a heavy week, maybe 50 hours of real work. People, they love to be seen as productive. They love to be, it's a very Protestant thing to want to be seen as a hard worker. And see yourself as a hard worker. So you'll exaggerate. It's a fishtail, man. It's a fishtail. You caught a fish that's 5 pounds. By the time you get to shore, in your own head, you're not lying. In your own head, it's a 13-pound fish. It's 13 pounds, And so it's a fishtail. So people exaggerate the numbers in their heads. They're not lying because they really believe it, but they're just wrong. They're just assuming that they work. The average person, I would assume, actually probably puts in like 20 hours of work a week. Probably. And the rest are just sitting at their desk and for 40 hours a week. And really elite hard workers probably put in 40 hours a week. They probably get to the office, work until they get done. Maybe they'll send a couple emails in the evening, whatever. So there's nobody's working 80 hours a week. That's not real. That's not a thing. Don't get anxiety about that. You don't have to work for 80 hours a week to get ahead. And so they're working for. So Patrick Bet-David is making this argument that they're working 80 hours a week and you have to pay them less. They're less entitled. Whatever. Here's the hard truth. Ready for some hard truths? Ready for some hard questions? Require hard answers. Let's be brutally honest. Indians make shit products. All right? Indian CE, we've had 20 there it is. We've had 20 years of Indians running the tech world. And what have we gotten? Better, more invasive advertising technology. Okay? Instagram doesn't work. Facebook doesn't work. X barely works. No phones work. You can't use Google anymore. You have to, in order to find a good search result, you have to put in the search result. What alternator do I put in my 6.0 Power Stroke diesel? Reddit. And then you have to put Reddit at the end of the search query. And Google, you know what Google did to address that? Did Google fix their search results? No. The Indian that runs Google thought, oh, I have an idea. He bought all of the data licensing to Reddit. So now all the other search engines aren't allowed to do that.
No, really?
Yes. That was his solution to the problem.
Is monopoly.
Well, yeah, was not to make a better product, but to scam everyone. All right, now I've been told I can't say this by Jason, so I'm not going to say it outright, but I will say, is there a pattern that you notice? just saying. All right. So, and I just got a nice big truck. I got the Excursion I've been wanting since I was a kid. So I've been doing all this research into how to maintain and keep my nice diesel engine running and going on for a million miles. And over and over and over and over and over again, every single source I find is, Yeah, we used to get all these great parts. We're an engine rebuilding company. And we used to get all these really high quality parts in this company, and they exported all their labor to Mexico, and now we can't tell when they're going to ship us a part that works or doesn't work. I just got done reading a paper from a market data research scientist talking about why no one's buying new cars in the U.S. now.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is because all, including Toyota, all the companies have exported their labor to Mexico, and so none of the cars work anymore.
Toyota dropped down in the most reliable rankings.
Right.
They dropped to third. They were top
now it's Subaru.
Above Subaru and Honda.
Yeah.
And Subaru took their top spot.
Right. Because they moved all of their production facilities to Mexico. Okay?
That'll do it.
Here's the reality of the situation.
My boss is always talking about when he calls them the bean counters, basically the ones who are just looking at numbers.
Yeah.
And go, well, this part's cheaper. We can get it. They're not looking any further than
they're looking
the dollar.
At all quantitative, no qualitative.
Yeah.
Right.
So they would do away with quality control. Capacitors are a part that goes out. It's a part that you have to replace on an air conditioner.
Yeah.
It's what helps start the engine. It stores power and gives the kickstart to motors to get them running.
Yeah.
Right. And we only install American-made capacitors because they've outperformed the Mexican and Chinese-made capacitors. Those just swell up and give out when it gets too hot way too quickly. And so we're out there replacing these stupid parts too often. So
right. Yeah. Who would have thought that you get what you pay for?
It was such that my boss was so impressed with how well these AMRAD capacitors worked that he gives a lifetime warranty to them. Once we put one on, we will then replace it for free once it goes out.
Yeah.
Because he had so few of them going out. It
Yeah.
was worth it to pay more for the capacitor and offer a lifetime warranty on it to the customer.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a reason why you can't get lifetime warranties on anything anymore.
Because it won't last a lifetime.
Yeah, it won't last a lifetime. It won't last. It doesn't last.
Everything is disposable.
Everything is disposable now.
And you can't repair anything.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast with Tim Allen was being interviewed by Mike Rowe.
Yeah.
Mike Rowe's podcast, which is called The Way I Heard It.
Okay.
And Tim Allen was just going off on a tear about how his coffee making. He's not like a repair guy. He has huge respect for blue collar and whatnot, but he's not a tradesman. He's an entertainer. He's a creative, right? But he's one of those like Mike Rowe who is not at all a handyman, but has tremendous respect for the trades and people who can fix things.
Yeah.
And he would bring his broken coffee maker to the set of the show he was working on and be like, why doesn't this work? And some guy would be like, well, hang on, let me go see if I can figure it out and take it apart. And he's like, those are the people I'm most fascinated with, who will take something apart and see if they can't figure out why it's not working.
Yeah.
But everything's just sealed.
Yeah.
There's no replaceable parts, and they're moving on to the next model so quick nobody stocks the parts to replace it if it did have parts you could replace.
Right.
So you have to throw away the entire dang thing, fill up landfills with old coffee makers and old air conditioners that don't even have a way to maintenance them. They're not built to be maintained or repaired.
Right.
Anyway, it's tremendously wasteful.
Yes, tremendously wasteful, and that's a Chinese thing. That's a Chinese mindset. That's a very Chinese mindset. And so this idea that you're importing these elite workers who are getting things done that Americans can't it's just not true. Okay, it's just straight up not true. All right, people. I'm sorry. It's a hard truth. People from third world countries, their country is a third world for a reason. Okay. Now, let's go back to the qualification we made at the beginning of this. 200 years of Christianity in Vietnam or in China or in India. Who knows what they look like? Maybe they produce products just as high quality as we do in the U.S., but they don't now. So what are we talking about? Why are we bringing these people in? They don't actually offer quality labor. And the money that they do make, they send home. They send back to India. They send back to Mexico. They send back to China. So what is it? What are we talking about here? And if you're saying, I mean, here's the Elon has since walked back a lot of what he said this week, and so I'm not going to go too hard on Elon. I actually like Elon Musk a lot. And his assertion now is much more reasonable, which is that we do need to be bringing in a very few of the most elite possible people.
He's a pretty recent convert to that way of thinking. He's
Yeah.
obviously come around on a lot of things and
Right.
realized that maybe his way of thinking maybe was legitimate in the beginning, but now has gone, or at least was worthy of a test.
Right.
And is now realizing he's smart enough and wise enough, apparently, to actually say, no, I was wrong.
Right.
Which is a huge, so...
It takes a lot.
Yes, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
To be on that stage and to admit that you were wrong and go, actually, yeah, that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
We tried that. It didn't work. We need to do this now.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, well, my pride is so high that I can't say that I was wrong. And so we're going to keep on forcing this same agenda. This ideology.
Right. Yeah.
No matter where it takes us.
Here's another thing, man. This elite, this idea, this position of like, oh, we need to go get more elite workers. Everybody needs more elite workers. That's saying he was going, there's a massive competency crisis and there's a huge demand and undersupply of elite workers. And dude, this is so asinine that I'm shocked Elon Musk didn't think of it while he was saying it. Of course there's a shortage of elite workers. That's why they're elite. If there was bountiful elite workers, then they would just be average. It would just be the standard.
I don't know. You can have a shortage of what you actually need in the elite force because nobody's being raised up to be those people. So
sure,
in that,
maybe.
I will say, in some defense, at least measured defense of Vivek's post,
Yeah.
there is legitimate criticism to the culture of America. Those TV shows, the mediocrity that he's talking about, I would say is a real thing.
Okay.
You look at, I think I would blame largely our parents, first of all, for continuing to send their kids to public school.
Yeah.
Number one problem. And because look at our education system compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not produced. So, I think he has some points. He's not entirely wrong.
Yeah, no
He's
one's ever
maybe
entirely... Yeah.
So, I think there's a lot of legitimacy to what he's saying, which is why in the thread, you'll see people who agree with him in one aspect and don't agree with him. You saw parents in there saying, like, well, we sacrificed to send our kids to a private school, and we made sure they had all these opportunities, yada, yada, yada. I absolutely agree that chilling at the mall is not the best use of your teenager's time.
Yeah, I think... listen...
I'm not saying it's...
Here's one of the things that people do not like metagames. They do not like so the metagame.
Did you say metagame?
Metagame, yes. This idea that within it, so there's a game, right? Let's just say there's a video game. Let's say Magic the Gathering. Okay, there's the rules of Magic the Gathering that are actually codified into the actual programming of the game and into the like rules that you do when you're playing Magic on the tabletop. Right, the actual hard written rules of the game. And then there develops underneath that another game that comes from how efficiently you can play those rules and which cards work most efficiently within those rules. And what that creates is these like, they're soft rules that basically means if you do not play these cards, you are going to lose. So you are effectively pushed out of the game. And that's the meta game. So you have to use these specific decks. So at any given time within Magic the Gathering's like standard play style, there's only like 6 or 7 decks you can actually play. It's the same idea with Call of Duty. There's only like 6 or 7 guns at any given time that you can actually use
And effectively win.
And if you don't use those...
Without beating the odds in some big way.
Right. And so people really don't like metagames because it pigeonholes everything. Because it means you have to play one way.
Gotcha.
So, but that applies to reality as well, to larger life as well. And so people don't like metagames, and people don't like them so much that they will operate more inefficiently to operate in a way that they want to, if it means that they don't have to do it the way that they don't want to do it. And so, and this is a big part of the discussion as well, that we can, we're getting close to an hour, so we can wrap this up on these last 2 points, which is that for the most part, what I saw people really clowning on these guys about was that we're not talking about the most elite 1% of the 1%. That's not what people are talking about. What we're talking about is just like mid-level jobs making $85K a year Like being able to live comfortably and not have to you don't have to be ultra grind set man all the time. Like you can balance your life and go on vacation and have a family. And like, there are other things that matter more than how much money you make, how good your career is going. Like careerist people, God bless them, but not everybody's careerist. Most people just want a job that they don't mind doing that allows them to live comfortably. That's what most people want. And that is so fair to want that. That's what most people should want. Paul instructs us to pray for a quiet and peaceable life. And so most people just want a job where they feel like they're contributing, that isn't a grind, and that provides enough money for them to enjoy their life with their family. That's what most people want.
Yeah.
And the H-1B program violates that because it's not bringing in the 1% of the 1%. It's bringing in, like, people were, and this is, I think, where Elon Musk changed his tune, was because people were just hammering him with the fact that H-1B visas are all a matter of public record. So you can go to each company and see who's hiring what for what. And it's not like chief engineer of proton dynamic alloy specific rocket propulsion. It's not those guys. It's just like
the mid-levels.
Yeah, it's just like graphic designer. I think one of the jobs I saw was pickleball director at like an athletic center.
Doesn't need to be an H-1B.
You couldn't find a white guy for that? What are we doing?
I was an American guy.
All right. Well, Americans are pretty white, so yeah. We couldn't find an American for that.
We're not all white. Americans are not all white.
You couldn't find an American for that? You couldn't find a native-born American to be the pickleball director at your athletic center? Really? You couldn't teach somebody how pickleball works.
Yeah.
In a day, like what, in a couple hours. So I'm sorry. It's just that the H-1B program does need to be abolished and done away with. It's called the 0-1 program, which is the immigration program for the top 1% of the 1%.
Okay, it's a different program.
There's
entirely?
a different program that exists for it.
Okay.
So we just get rid of H-1B altogether. It doesn't need to exist. You're bringing in mid-level people jobs that could go to Americans, that are normal jobs that anyone could do. And so that's a big part of it, is like, you're not bringing in these people that are working 80 hours a week. First of all, nobody's working 80 hours a week, but you're not just bringing those people in. You're bringing in cheap labor. Just be honest. You're bringing in cheap labor. But the problem with cheap labor is, what does it get you? It gets you a cheap result. It's ass. All the products suck. So it doesn't matter. Now, the last thing I want to do we'll do this last 3 minutes. This is important. The China thing. We're going to get our butts kicked by China, according to Vivek. All right? China
Ethan's going to go,
wrong. Yeah, incorrect, Vivek. Again, you Indian dumbass. It's not. China it's all fake. It's all made with ramen noodles and styrofoam. Everything falls apart. They all die on the job. China is totally fabricated. It's not real. It's not real. We're not going to get our asses kicked by China. Everything they make sucks. But dude, listen, look up bear bile cages and tell me what you think about the Chinese after that.
Say that again.
Bear bile cages. The Chinese take bears and they trap them in these cages that are so small that it forces the bears to throw up until they die. And then they use the bile for like some kind of product. Look up gutter oil. The average Chinese person gets their cooking oil literally from the gutter of their street. That's real. That's really what goes on in China. Okay? So China's not coming for us. And even if they were, somebody go online right now and tell me how many Indian guys work at Chinese companies. None. How many?
Pretty racist of China.
Yeah, pretty racist of China to not import any of these angel brown people that are just so good with their hands. It's crazy, man. I can't, dude. China's not coming for us. Even if they were, they're not using Indians to do it. Okay? So this entire thing is just defunct. It's bereft. Now listen, one thing I do want to say here is that Vivek is an Indian immigrant. It is right for him to advocate for other Indian immigrants. Okay? It's his people. And that's okay. We should not begrudge him that. But it also should not. We were getting a lot of backlash on the internet this week.
I don't
being
know.
Called racist.
If he's an American citizen,
yeah, sure. Then he's.
I don't know. If he is an American citizen, he's an American now. You can't serve two masters.
Okay.
You can't go, I'm an American now, and I enjoy all the luxuries of America, and I also want to bring over half of India with me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
That's tough.
So you don't want to extend that olive branch to him?
Not necessarily.
Okay, that's fine. Fair
Maybe
enough.
I'll go harder than Ethan on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Potentially.
Good. Yeah, that makes me feel
not
good.
fully thought out, but we'll leave it there. That's for you. You all can just another thing to think about.
Yeah. Listen.
Is that if you're loyal now to a country, you should be loyal to the country you're a part of.
Yeah. Listen. White people, Americans, however you want to say it, they should be allowed to advocate for themselves. Okay? And if they are upset, if Americans are upset that jobs that could go to Americans, I don't think there's anybody that's saying that every nuclear physicist job has to go to a white guy. All right? That Elon's right. There's not a lot of those people on the planet. Okay? Most of them are Slavic. Most of them are Russian. So what are we going to do about that? All right. Yes. You gotta, if you want to really get dynamic stuff done at the top, highest level, then yeah, you're going to have to bring other people in on that. I get it. But that's not even the goal of human existence, is to colonize Mars or whatever. That's a material objective that the Lord may or may not let us achieve. So like orienting your entire orienting your entire society around whether or not we're like we have the most efficient nuclear reactors it's a materialistic goal, and it's not what we should aim at. All right. What we should aim at is the sanctity or the glorification of the Lord and the peace and enjoyment and the standard of living of normal people. Okay. And those things are not necessarily mutually exclusive. I understand that. Okay. I understand that the greater and more rapid our scientific advancement is, the greater and more rapid everything else will be, or the greater standard of living will be for normal people. And so whatever, those things go hand in hand to some extent, but people are upset. People are allowed to advocate for themselves. And here's the last thing I'll say, and then I'll turn it over to Jason.
I have one
for the
more
last
note,
word.
but
okay.
yeah.
Dang it, it's immediately gone.
Really quick, then I'll say going back to what I said about Vivek not extending the olive branch, I don't know, in that post specifically that we read, I haven't been following Vivek and his other advocacy or whatever. So I'm saying exclusively with this post, what he seemed to be saying was, Americans, you need to do better. And maybe he's misguided in it, but he's actually advocating for Americans to be better. Yeah. He's not, in that post, I'm not getting that. He seems to be, he's pointing out what he sees to be the problem with why the H-1Bs are taking over. He may be wrong in why the H-1Bs are taking over a lot of these jobs, but he's pointing to his new country and saying, hey, Americans, he's saying we. Yeah. He's not saying we need to bring in Indians. He's saying we as Americans need to do better with raising our kids. Yeah. And he's absolutely right in that. Yeah. So I just want, he didn't seem to be advocating in that post for trying to bring over lots of mid-level workers and and displace American, like native-born workers. Yeah. Yeah. And there is something to be said. You know, I had a lot of conflict this week as well with people who were, you know, I have a big bone to pick with hopelessness and people promulgating hopelessness into the society. And so I had a lot of conflict with people this week who were on our side, who were saying like, oh, white guys can't get ahead, whatever. Like, dude, who cares? Who cares? Like that. I think that's this is a great place to end it. Dude, at the end of the day, who cares if they're bringing in tons of Indians? Do what you have to do to get ahead. Okay? Do what you have to do to get ahead.
if you spend all of your time, sales guys, in my world, sales guys who spend all their time talking about the company's priced wrong and the product, whatever, they get fired. They're gone in a year. And they just go to the next company.
You've
and they
got to
work there
work
for a
with what
year.
you've got.
You have to work with what you have. Okay. And we'll have, our next episode is actually going to be about that. You have to work with the hand you got dealt. And the hand you got dealt is that you are graduating from college and going into a working environment flooded with people who are not as smart as you and not as hard as working, but are going to get the job anyways over you. And you can either sulk and get upset and live with your parents for the rest of your life and get nothing done. And not to say that living with your parents is a bad idea. I think most people should do that for the first part of their early professional lives until they get married, basically. But if you want to achieve nothing, then the best way to do that is to just sit around and go, harumph, I can't achieve anything because of all these brown people. Like, yes, it is a problem, but you have to do something about it. And it doesn't mean get on Twitter and demand that JD Vance kick them all out. That's not what I mean by do something about it, because that's completely out of your control. What I mean is go make some friends so that you can circumvent this HR problem that everybody. Hey guys, sorry about that. We're back though. A little bit of a
power interruption.
Little power interruption. Like I said, I forgot to pay my power bill, so the laptop died, but the power came back on, so we're good to go.
We need to readjust the levels a little bit.
Yep.
How about this? How are we doing?
That's good enough. That's
good enough. Okay.
Yeah, that's good enough. All right, guys. So we'll wrap it up. We were just
saying, don't get online until don't focus on things that are outside your control.
Yeah, man. Just don't wallow. Just don't wallow in things that are outside your control. Focus on what you can control, and what you can control is, whether or not you're getting creative. So just get creative, all right? But guys, that's the episode. So quick recap: Indians are not as productive as non-Americans. We'll say that to make it more, I don't know.
To not be focusing on.
Yeah.
To be clear, it wasn't the impression I've gotten is that H-1Bs are a high percentage is Indian.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Which is the only reason that came up.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just funny to rag on Indians right now, so I'm ragging on Indians, but I don't mean it. All right, there are my partner at work is an Indian guy, great dude, love him. He's actually the only Indian I know right now, but like the only Indian I'm like friends with right now. But I've been friends with plenty of Indians. They are funny. They are like a self-aware Indian is a very funny person.
Self-aware anybody about their culture is a funny person. I could see that being hilarious.
So I don't mean to go too hard on Indians. They're just they're the people that are unfortunately at the front lines of this one. So it's the one I keep talking about. But guys, so just foreigners are not as productive as people make them out to be. Don't relent on this issue. Wherever you have power to apply pressure to policymakers and to like interact with your environment, please do that. But don't make it your whole life, and don't think that anybody's coming to save you. It's just not going to happen. So you're going to have to make it happen yourself. But guys, we love you. We are praying for you. Please go to church, find a woman, have as many babies as God will give you. Look out for, this year's going to be big for Hyper Premium, so be looking out. We're going to try to do a couple really cool projects. The project I teased months ago about the cool internet virtual reality game or augmented reality game, that'll be coming out hopefully by the end of this year, or by the end of 2025 rather. So guys, look out for that kind of stuff. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, please email us at workhard@hyperpremium.co. That's workhard@hyperpremium.co. Tell your friends, tell your moms. People have been telling their moms, and that's turned into moms telling other moms. So you never know.
That is interesting.
You never know. Recommend us to whoever you think might be interested. It'll help us a lot. We love you guys,
and prayerfully consider donations in the coming year as we bring that online, so we can do more stuff. If you like what we do and want more, consider that.
Yeah, because we will be.
Throw the price of one coffee at us per month.
Yeah, we will be as diligent with that money as we possibly can. And I've got a tremendous amount of ideas and a very big vision. And Jason has all the personal agency required to get that stuff done. So I think we're going to make a pretty dynamic team. So if you guys want to bet on us, please do. We love you. We'll see you around. Bye-bye.